Welcome back. So on reverse logistics, in the first session we discussed why it is needed, why traditionally it has been considered as an exercise that only adds to the cost, and that is the reason I said most of the companies are reluctant to opt for reverse logistics. They do not want shipments to be brought back from the customers, they do not want the customers, but over a period of time, and particularly with the advent of online marketing, there are a lot of items that the customers expect is to be returned because they do not function the way they want to. So they expect the manufacturer to return the shipment, repair or replace. We also did mention, of course not in detail, which we are going to do at a later stage, about the closed loop supply chain and how the companies are involving new techniques and methods in remanufacturing products which are used for a certain period of time. Their function, they lose the quality or the function to an extent. The manufacturer would take the shipment back, they would enhance the features or they would change a few components and then resell in the market. That is what we discussed. Now reverse logistics also, as forward logistics, also need a very efficiently managed supply chain management process, logistics process. And since, if you remember in the last session we discussed, though there cannot be a direct comparison between a forward logistics and reverse logistics, because in a forward logistics everything is visible to me or known to me. I know exactly which customer I am supposed to deliver the items to. I know exactly how many shipments or items needs to be delivered. When all these information are known to me, it becomes much easier for me to manage the supply chain. It is very easy for me to do the warehousing, it is easy for me to do an inventory control, it is easy for me to do the packaging, the material handling, to manage my transportation, to manage my vendors, to put a price. I know the price in advance, the cost in advance, I know the exact distribution network that the product will go through, I know the time it will take from the time of manufacturing to delivery, and so on and so forth. But what is not known to me, just to recap, what is not known to me is that once I have delivered a product, I do not know whether that product will come back to me, because I do not know whether the customer will have objections to that product in terms of its features, its functions, etc., etc., etc. I do not know whether that product would be delivered, will go through some rough treatment during transit and it would get damaged. It was not known to me. It is only after the delivery is done that I come to know that the shipment needs to be brought back. So there is a lot of uncertainty as far as the reverse logistics is concerned. So if it is uncertain, how can I design my supply chain? How do I design my pickup? How do I plan my pickup? How do I plan my warehousing? How do I plan my transportation? Because everything is uncertain. The numbers are uncertain, the time of pickup is uncertain, the location is not known to me. So everything is uncertain. So it is essential, but at the same time I need to execute reverse logistics because that is what the customer wants, because that is what the other companies are doing. I do not want to fall behind, my company does not want to fall behind the other companies. If I do not retrieve a shipment because it is faulty, I am going to very soon lose my reputation and brand in the market, as simple as that. So that is the reason, while it was very important for me to design the supply chain for forward logistics, it is equally important for me, though it is uncertain, to plan and design my supply chain for reverse logistics. So we started with that the location should be known to me. If the location is not known to me, I will not be able to plan how it is to be picked up, which retailer it has to pick up, which sorting center it has to come back, which repairing center it has to come back, etc., etc. I also need to know what should be my product collection system, and now we have identified the location, we have set the collection system that I know it has to be picked up from X, and I know it has to be picked up by from X, and I know it has to be picked up by Y. Now after that what? The product has to move through some processing center. The smaller organization, smaller companies, they have limited resources. So more often than none, they have a common facility for manufacturing, distribution, packaging, handling, and managing inventory and managing reverse logistics as well. I am sorry. But the same may not be true for large organizations who deal in big volumes, large corporates, large manufacturing houses in our country. For them, they often need to set up separate infrastructure, they need to set up separate facility only to manage reverse logistics or return goods. Let us see and read in the slide. Recycling and disposal centers. These may be the company's plant, warehouses, or some fixed location on the reverse logistics network. The callback products are inspected before they are further processed for further repair, refurbishing, remanufacturing, or waste disposal. Investment in facility for these activities depend on the objectives of the system, cost implication, complexities of the operation, and expected gains. So you see that the function of these disposal center or recycling centers are different, because products are written for different causes. There are different products. Few are machineries which are not perishable, of course, electronic items, electrical gadgets, food items, fragile items, items of a day-to-day use, whatever it may be. So a recycle center has to be set up, because once a shipment has come back, the shipment goes through some inspection. It needs to be assessed, it needs to be analyzed as to whether the particular shipment that has come back only needs a repair, or it has gone beyond a repair and it needs to be refurbished or replaced totally, or depending upon whether the product that has been returned are waste in nature, whether they need to be recycled. So different industries, different companies have their such processing center, and as I repeat, as I said at the beginning, that there are companies who use their same plant, same facility that they use for manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, for recycling centers for return shipment. But there are bigger companies who use exclusive facilities, because they cannot use a common or the same facility for sorting or processing return shipments. Here one has to understand that if you use your same manufacturing plant, it will provide you economies of scale, because you are using the same infrastructure, you are not adding any infrastructural administration cost. So your cost is under control. But for larger companies who has separate facilities altogether as processing center for return shipments, it requires capital investment. And when you talk of separate facility, you are talking of all separate systems in terms of handling, in terms of loading, unloading shipments, in terms of labor, manpower, everything. So, there is a cost implication over here, one has to understand. So, this depends upon the requirement and the nature and the largeness of a company. Let us see the fifth one, documentation system. Documentation again is a very important area in the entire logistics process, in the entire supply chain process. You need to keep a record for forward logistics, you need to keep a record for everything right from the time of manufacturing till it gets delivered, whether it's documents about transportation, about the stock, about the contract, whatever it may be. Proper documentation, correct documentation, these documentation needs to be maintained, needs to be shared among different functional groups. The same applies for reverse logistics, and we are going to read this in the slide. Tracing the product location becomes easier if proper documentation is maintained at each channel level. However, at the time of handing over the product to the customer, the detailed information, if collected through proper documentation, can form a good database which can be used in case of product callback. So, documentation, we were discussing that there is a challenge, there is some sort of a challenge in locating the product, but if all the players involved in the supply chain, right from the manufacturer to the distributor to the retailer and customer, if all the documents are maintained, all information are maintained, it is not easy to identify where the product lies. Also, these documents, when they are delivered to customers, and there are thousands and lakhs of customers, we are not talking of one customer or one isolated customer. So, every time a company delivers a shipment to a customer and they keep a record of the customer, their location, the kind of product they have bought. So, every information related to this customer and at every stage, so it becomes a very healthy database for us, which can be used for different purposes, for locating the product, for identifying, for redelivery to the customer. So, documentation overall is extremely important in the reverse logistics process. What are the cost implications? Extremely important, because we said reverse logistics adds cost to the logistics system. Let us read the important points over here. It is a cost center. These costs are incurred for achieving company's certain objectives. So, costs are involved in locating a product, for transporting the product, for product collections from the customer to retailer back to the manufacturer, disposing, if it is a waste product which needs disposal, then it goes from plant to the suppliers, or refilling, repairs, refurbishing, remanufacturing, recycling, documentation. We go further. So, these are the areas of cost, which is not difficult to understand, that these are the process of locating the product, then use of transportation, sending back to the process center, collection, disposing, refilling or repairing, etc., etc. All this incurs cost. Now, this particular slide tells us that there are certain barriers, that though we want to perform a good reverse logistics process, there are certain challenges, certain barriers, certain obstructions in order to ensure that we perform our reverse logistics in a proper manner. And what are these? Let us go to the slide and read. There could be legal issues, and we must read this in detail. Under Indian regulations, excise paid, goods once sold by the manufacturer, very important. Under Indian regulations, once good is sold by the manufacturer cannot be brought back to the plant without proper documentation and declaration to the excise authorities. This is a very complicated process. This is an extremely time consuming process, and non-compliance may mean that the manufacturer will have to face legal action. So, government has laid a rule that since a duty has been paid, an excise duty has been paid while transferring the goods by the manufacturer from its own facility, from his own manufacturing facility unit to the customer, it cannot be brought back unless and until certain documentation procedures are fulfilled, certain declarations are provided to the excise authorities. Not only this rule needs to be followed, to execute these rules are extremely complicated. There are occasions when companies violate, bypass and ignore such rules because they want to avoid that cumbersome and complicated process. Because one has to understand psychologically, while the company is responsible to the government to follow the rules, regulations and mandates, it also has a responsibility and probably a bigger, psychologically a bigger responsibility to its customer to ensure that the product is retrieved and replaced at the soonest possible. More often than none, customers do not want to listen, or customers are not interested about the complications in the process. All they want is the product being repaired or replaced, because if these are industrial products, it seriously affects their manufacturing process. It could be a machine, it could be a tool, it can be components, it can be whatever it may be. So, if they are delivered and the products are not delivered the way it is required as far the functions are concerned, the customers are only interested in getting the shipment back the way it was required. So, a company is caught in between government regulations and customer demand as far as legal issues are concerned. But they have to play a balanced role very efficiently, they need to, and that is the reason their documentation process, their supply chain process, their manpowers, their experts handling reverse logistics should be well versed with the government rules and regulations, so that they can quickly abide by the rules and at the same time satisfy the customers as well. Number 2, many organizations term reverse logistics goods as junk, and they do not want to waste their resources on these junks. The goods are considered unworthy of any investment. So, there are primarily two challenges for a good, proper, efficient supply chain management of reverse logistics. One are the legal issues which we have discussed in detail while we were going through the slide. The second one is more of a psychological problem with the customer, with the companies, because A, they understand that they are not going to earn anything, irrespective of the fact of that closed loop. We are not discussing about that, about the remanufacturing goods and resold, but otherwise when goods are brought back for replacement or repairs, to the company it's an used good. So psychologically they treat this good as junk which has no value to them. It may have tremendous value to the customer who are using these goods and who want to use this good, these shipments in a proper manner. When these shipments perform the way they desire to, but for the company who are the manufacturers, for them these are junk. So A, the logistics, the reverse logistics incurs, to perform the reverse logistics, every company has to incur a cost to the tune of 8 to 10% of the sale. And we gave you a quantitative. So if 100 rupees is the cost of a product, to return the product, repair, and again send back to the customer, a company would spend about rupees 8. We are not talking of rupees 100, mind you, we are talking of millions of dollars, crores of rupees of shipment being delivered. And even if 10% of the shipment or 5% of the shipment are to be brought back, you can imagine the amount of expenditure or investment a company has to incur. Logistic cost, which every company considers as an unnecessary, unproductive investment. So these two, one is psychological and one is legal, mandates, procedure. These come as a challenge, this comes as a barrier, they come as an obstacle for a proper reverse logistics process. With this we come to the end of our discussion on reverse logistics. To sum up and give you an idea, now we are going to see a video. This video is primarily on how wastes are recycled. We discussed about waste, right? Now there are industrial waste, there are waste which are produced on a day-to-day basis at our homes as well. So this video is going to give you an idea as how companies, this video of course is not made in India, it's a video made outside the country, but it will definitely give you an idea as to how companies are efficiently recycling their waste and reusing them in a meaningful way. So while you concentrate on the board, I will take you through the video.
What is recycling and remanufacturing, you ask? Recycling is a process by which you take material that would otherwise be considered trash and turn it into a new product. Modern urban recycling, which began with the passage of the New Jersey's mandatory recycling law in 1984, has successfully created a tremendous supply of recycled newspapers, glass bottles, office paper, and other materials. Remanufacturing is the process where equipment is restored or made like new, rebuilt and repaired to meet or extend prior performance and expectations. Durable products that have been remanufactured have been restored to their original functionality by replacing damaged or worn-out parts. For recycling, the old product would be dismantled, the hazardous materials would be removed, and the glass, plastic, precious metals, and other recyclable contents would be converted back to raw material for use in production of an entirely new product. Both methods reduce solid and hazardous waste compared to landfilling. Also, both methods, apart from being beneficial to the environment, also save money in creating new products by using old products.
Who are the best companies in recycling and why? Coming in at number 3 is Verizon. They will appraise your cell phone or tablet at any carrier in any condition. It can be reused and they will give you a Verizon gift card in return for your device. If it can't be reused, Verizon fully recycles the device to keep it entirely out of landfills. You can also take a charitable approach and donate your cell phones batteries, and accessories to Hope Line, which is Verizon's program that supports victims of domestic violence. Coming in at number 2 is Target. To help customers recycle, they offer kiosks conveniently located at each of its stores. Not only do the stores have kiosks for plastic, glass, and cans, but they also have bins for MP3 players, cell phones, and ink cartridges. Target also offers a trade-in program at select stores for used electronics to be exchanged for a Target gift card. At number 1 is Best Buy. This retail giant makes it easy for you to get rid of unwanted electronics, regardless of where they were purchased. Simply bring your product into a Best Buy store and they will recycle it free of charge. Also, if you have a gently used electronic that you purchased at Best Buy, you can opt for its trade-in program and receive store credit based on the item's trade-in value.
In regards to sustainability, Coca-Cola introduces the new plant bottle made from PET, or plant-based material made completely from plants. 30 billion bottles have been produced in 25 countries. Coca-Cola's goal is to make all bottles plant bottles by 2020. Here are some of the benefits to consider regarding plant bottles. They decrease the impact of carbon on the planet by 270 tons. Not only that, but they are completely recyclable and there is no new waste introduced into the earth. Coke wants to invest in other sustainability programs as well. Coca-Cola is determined to lead packaged goods to renewable plant-based bottles, and we're willing to share the formula with other companies. In 2005, Coca-Cola, in collaboration with Alchem Nigeria Limited, a fiber processing manufacturer, initiated a buyback and recycling plan for used PET bottles regardless of source or brand. Together, the partners launched Nigeria's first bottles-to-fiber recycling operation. Coca-Cola is the only player in the beverage sector that is investing in this initiative and joined the 2009 by its bottling partner, Nigerian Bottling Company Limited. Since 2005, the volume of bottles that are recycled through the program have grown from 135 tons in 2005 to 6,200 tons in 2012. The initiative has helped create jobs for estimated of 1,500 people. Also, Coca-Cola and Keep America Beautiful donated recycling carts, bins all across America. Coca-Cola is working with leading academic, government, and NGO partners to evaluate the wide range of agricultural resources to see if they can meet Coca-Cola criteria of being able to deliver improved environmental and social performances without impacting food security. At this time, Coca-Cola has only approved sugarcane from Brazil and sugarcane processing waste from India. And while today Coca-Cola uses sugarcane and sugarcane processing waste, they are working to advance technologies that source plastic from other plastic residues as well. The future goal is to increasingly use renewable natural resources such as plant stems and fruit peels to meet the plant's bottle packaging.
For Caterpillar and its customers, sustainability is a competitive advantage, and sustainability is what Cat Ramon is all about. Cat Ramon returns products at the end of their lives to like-new condition. That means their customers get like-new quality at the fraction of the cost of a new product, which really helps reduce owning and operating costs. It's a great way to do business. This reduces waste, lowers greenhouse gas emission, and reduces the need for new material. Cat Ramon remanufactures more than 2 million components each year. The process begins when a customer buys a Cat Ramon product at a fraction of the cost of a new product. The Ramon price includes a core deposit, which gives the customer financial incentive to return the product for the core being replaced. Once the dealership inspects and accepts the old product, the deposit is returned to the customer.
Caterpillar is known for remanufacturing over $3.5 billion of parts and components. The company consists of 5,000 workers making like-new products from worn-out, traded-in, and discarded units, which is key in their global strategy. Caterpillar is driving positive, sustainable change through advanced processes and product innovation. As the world leader in remanufacturing, Caterpillar is making progress possible, finding new ways to reduce, reuse, recycle, and reclaim materials which once would have gone into a landfill. Once a return core arrives at a Ramon facility, it is disassembled down to the smallest part, losing its original identity. Each element goes through a cleaning process and is inspected against strict engineering specifications to determine if it can be effectively salvaged. Accepted worn-out components are then converted into production-ready material through advanced salvage techniques, which use the same rigorous engineering process that goes into new Cat machines. Caterpillar is a global leader in remanufacturing technology, recycling more than 120 million pounds of end-of-life iron annually. Because they are in the business of returning end-of-life components to the same as new condition, they reduce waste and minimize the need for raw material to produce new parts. Through remanufacturing, they make one of the greatest contributions to sustainable development, keeping non-renewable resources in circulation for multiple lifetimes.
Walmart is another leader in sustainability. They have developed a mission of environmental sustainability in order to run a more responsible and successful company. They are making sustainability a part of how they buy and sell merchandise around the world. They are looking to create a more resilient supply chain and increase their customers' trust in their brand. At Walmart, they are looking to achieve zero waste across their global operations. Today, they have made progress in the right direction. In the U.S., more than 81% of the materials that flow through the store are being diverted from landfills. In Japan and the UK, there is a 90% diversion rate, and in Canada and Mexico, there is a 70% rate. With this progress towards a better environment, Walmart is planning to enhance the people, process, and data they use worldwide. This will increase the speed, consistency, and reach their pursuit of zero waste. Walmart has begun to use one-time use shopping bags also.
So if you have seen, the basic idea of showing this video is to show how the leading companies, the leading organizations, of course there is a little more of this video which remained, and I am going to post this video in the online for you, all of you to see. So the basic purpose what we have been discussing today, every company is expected to maintain a green supply chain. Every company is expected to run their operations without polluting the atmosphere, because they have a social responsibility towards the to the human beings, to the society as a whole. So this video I think would have given you some idea as to how all the different companies, whether it's Caterpillar or Walmart or anybody, is using their recycling of waste in a very, very effective manner. Though they are spending money, but with more and more efficiency, the cost automatically comes down. So we have come to an end to our reverse logistics chapter, and at the beginning, as I said, we are now going to discuss. Today we are just going to give an overview on our next subject, which is cold chain logistics. We are going to discuss what is cold chain logistics, why cold chain logistics is important, and why cold chain logistics is applicable in the modern lifestyle. What are the challenges that we are facing, and we will discuss a lot with relevance to the Indian market, the Indian operations, the Indian companies. What is the potential of this market? What are the methods, what are the ways cold chain logistics operate? What are the technologies involved in operating a cold chain logistics? What are the initiatives that being taken by the government of India and other leading corporates to ensure that the cold chain logistics process can be run in a very, very efficient manner? We are not going to discuss anything in details today, but just to tell you, so cold, a chain, that is the supply chain, and the logistics process. Here the most important is the word cold. That means it's generally required for items which has a very short lifespan, perishable items, or items which can quickly lose its value if not constantly kept at a minimum temperature. So primarily there are two industries which require cold chain logistics in a big way, and this is food and pharma. I need not tell you why food. Food is a perishable item. There are many food items. Of course, there are food items which has longer life shelves, but primarily several food items have a shorter lifespan. So they need to be maintained at a low temperature, because right from the time that they are produced and sent to the end customers, it goes through a supply chain process like any other products would do. Same with pharmaceuticals. The ampules, there are medicines, liquid medicines which are required for injections, whatever, very delicate and sensitive medicines, they need to be kept and maintained at certain temperature. Now these are not kept once they are manufactured, they obviously has to go through, as I said, like food, has to go through a logistics process, and a continuity is required. By continuity, it means that the temperature, the control on the temperature is required right from the time it is produced till the time it is delivered to the customer, and even further. In food, we are not only talking of agricultural produce, but also items which are semi-processed. We have seen in the modern lifestyle, we are not only talking of vegetables, we are not talking only of dairy products, we are not talking only of milk or cheese. You visit a retail store, a big retail store, you will find frozen foods. The consumption of frozen foods are increasing by the day, because of the lifestyle, because of the complexity of our lifestyle, because our lives have become so busy. We need semi-processed foods. We need frozen items which can be maintained for a longer period of time. We cannot always have fresh items cooked every time. So these are the items that require a logistics process. That's the reason we have used the word cold, because they need to be maintained at a minimum temperature. So there are two types of items, and they are called frozen items and chilled cold items. So different items we are going to discuss. We are going to discuss all these areas, why we need this, what are the challenges currently we are facing in India, what are the companies are facing. First of all, the manufacturing companies, and then the logistics service providers, what challenges they are facing. What is the potential that the Indian market has? What are the methods? What are the technologies? What are the chemicals? What are the kind of transportations used to ensure that the logistics process goes through, or during the entire logistics process the product is kept at a temperature? What are the kind of initiatives? What are the kind of investments government are doing with a view to the potential that this particular market has, the Indian market has? All that in the next session. We are not going to have any session the next Tuesday. I am going to see you again on Saturday, next Saturday that is. Till such time, happy learning, happy reading, go through the notes. I will be posting more and more. By this time you would have access to several study materials that I have sent. This weekend I promise to send more to the APSSDC representatives, so that they can be posted online and you have an access to them and read them and study. I think by this time you are convinced that whatever studies you may be doing, whatever studies at the post graduation level you are doing, it is very essential to understand, know the supply chain process, because this is what is running the Indian industry today. You are all want to work in some function, you will have some function in the industry, and all the functions are a part of the supply chain process. We are obviously we have a number of other important topics to be discussed. So till next Saturday, it's goodbye and wish you a very, very happy weekend. Thank you.